Andy Preston, welcome to Spectator TV. So much of this coverage comes out of the Westminster bubble. But here you are on Spectator TV, the Mayor of Middlesbrough. How does it look from where you sit, and how does the government's response look?
So what it looks from where we sit is there is a situation where people are nonplussed. I mean, as I think everybody said earlier, this thing was predicted to have caused mayhem and killed lots of people. And what most people know is that statistically the virus is spreading, but most people don't yet know anybody who's died. I think we have to take it incredibly. Nobody knows what's ahead of us, by the way, with infections, hospitalizations, and mortality. But absolutely, Professor Navarro's spot on. We need to find a way of working with this. And what happened last week was Westminster, the government said to Middlesbrough and other places, we are going to do something to you. We're not going to work with you. We're not going to listen to local knowledge. We're not going to look at local data. We're going to do something to you. We're going to effectively close down your food and beverage business, plunging thousands of people into unemployment, and the corresponding economic impact, the physical health of that, and mental health. And if I may say, as a 54-year-old who grew up in the 80s and left school in 82, the industrial recession then was terrifying. And Middlesbrough Council, our tiny unitary authority, is still paying probably about 15 million quid a year in childcare, in social help, in all kinds of ways, paying for the way that industrial recession was handled 35 years ago. So we've spent hundreds of millions. And what we need to do now is, as other people have said, is look at this problem as not just a COVID numbers problem, but a physical health, a mental health, and a long-term economic shock. And I fear that what we're looking at is how do we get the numbers down, get the numbers down, get the numbers down. And to use the whack-a-mole analogy, I fear Boris Johnson is whacking the same mole when the others are popping up. So I think there's a sense that we are a victim again. There's a sense we aren't being consulted or listened to, and there's a sense that the government is doing stuff to us without giving us a chance to explain why they might be able to do it better.
So your heart must sink then at the prospect of more lockdown measures coming in, because that's all the buzz out of the government. It's just they can't quite make up their mind exactly what they should be. It's become incredibly complicated. They're saying it may not come in till Monday. We're already, a Thursday now. It would seem that the government is set on a course of which you don't approve. Is that fair?
Yes, that is absolutely right. I mean, all the data we have does say that the vast majority, something like 82% of cases locally, are derived from inside the home, socializing at home. So we actually asked for a temporary restriction on socializing at home. But why shouldn't somebody be allowed to stand on their garden path and talk with a neighbor? Why shouldn't I be able to take my wife for dinner in a really well-run restaurant? The risks of contracting a virus there in a well-run establishment are literally minuscule. And to plunge so many people into unemployment, to cause so much mental health problems, and store up this potential 35-year time bomb, as we had from the 80s recession, seems bizarre at best, negligent at worst. And we need to be looking at this pragmatically. I think Professor Navarro admitted that we don't know much about this. I'm not soft on COVID, by the way. I've introduced all kinds of measures to try and deal with it. But we're learning as we go. We need to try different things and see what works. But local is good. We need central government and local government to work together. And that's the bit, Andrew, that's missing.
The northern mayors, which have not been a power in the land since Victorian times, but you are a power in the land now. And you all, Labour and Conservative or Independent, you seem to be speaking with broadly one voice on these things. There may be details you differ about, but as I've seen from Andy Burnham in Manchester, for example, and others, there's broadly the same analysis and the same criticism coming out. Hasn't that cut any ice with the government if you've got these mayors across political parties representing our great northern cities? Hasn't that made the government think?
What it looks like to me as an outsider, I'm not an insider into Westminster, it looks like there's a key group, a small group that is advising, has got the ear of the PM and maybe a few others, and that is dictating how the PM sees and feels things. And that's rippling out across the country. it's crazy, and we don't want people to do exactly what we want, but we want people to listen to what we want and tell us why they can't do it. That's all we want.
And they're not listening, Mayor. They're not listening.
They're not listening at all. No, there hasn't been a single, despite what you hear otherwise, the truth is there has not been one conversation with a senior member of government or a senior civil servant with anybody in Middlesbrough or Hartlepool in the last few weeks.
And yet the Tories are supposed to be the party of the North now.
Well, I believe that there's a real will there from the Tories to level up. I do believe it. As an independent, I think that they want to do great things. But this is so difficult. It's a crisis. Governing in a crisis is a nightmare. At the beginning, in any crisis, what happens is everyone rallies around you. And that's what happened in the spring. Loads of popularity. It's now getting frayed. This is classic crisis behavior. And the government's own people are turning on. And this could go very, very badly wrong for the government and the country. And I think the easy way to fix it is start talking. Start listening to a broader range of people and start communicating.